Welcome back to Dungeon Master's Corner. Today, we're talking about when fate truly decides to kick in your teeth. And that's not a euphemism for the DM doing it. Seriously, this guy had to have broken a mirror by throwing a black cat at it, knocking over the salt in the process. Also, did you know that your Discord friends can see what game you're playing when you should be at a recording session? Also, I just noticed that Matt is playing Dolphin Emulator.
And
is he playing that stupid Echo game?
And not hanging out with us. Rude.
I'm going to choose to believe that he is playing that Dolphin video game that he said to me the other day wasn't all that good. Oh, now he's playing PC X2. Whatever. Fuck him! Getting back into this is so easy. Welcome to another episode of the Dungeon Master's Corner. I am Brian.
I'm Nicole.
And we are going to talk today about the first campaign I ever ran. Which you were in at the end.
Yeah, I was there for like the last 6 months or so.
Which, considering how long we had played that game, that was a very short amount of time, but surprisingly, it surprises me how many stories you actually were there for.
Yeah, it surprises me too. And so who or what are we talking about from Plan B?
Plan B, when I ran Hoard of the Dragon Queen and Rise of Tiamat, with my own little spin on it. We are talking about our friend. I hesitate to use his real name here.
Let's just call him by his player name, shall we?
So this is about a player at my table. We'll just call him Jay, because at this point we don't want to out anybody. But Jay had a habit of making very poor in-character choices that led to it being that I have to call him Jay instead of his character name because there were so many.
That's rough, buddy.
He just kept dying. He just kept dying. So we're going to start at the top of the list. When Jay joined our little group, this was a little before your time, he came in with a Dragonborn Barbarian. I want to say blue scale. So he came in, they're going into the sewers, and Andrew, you all know and love Andrew, Andrew joined us late. I think he had work, something like that. He came in late for some reason. So his character followed behind. Now, everyone who had already known Andrew's character, this was Romero, for anyone who may remember him coming up in the past, if we've mentioned him thus far. Romero was a bard rogue. And Romero came up behind and found Jay's character. The two of them saw each other, and now I remember what triggered this. Romero currently had a fear of lightning.
Oh!
He had had a bad encounter with lightning. And suddenly, this Dragonborn he had never seen before, knew nothing about, unleashed its lightning breath in his vicinity. Andrew felt like he needed a wisdom saving throw in response to this. And I agreed. It was a really cool in-character decision. And this one cannot be put on Jay at all. This was very much just circumstance. Romero failed the save, got very triggered by the lightning, and attacked the source. And he was only going to attack once before coming to the realization, oh no, what have I done? But Jay continued to push the fight. He's like, well, I'm in a rage, so I would just keep attacking the thing that attacked me. It made sense from a certain point of view, but also he was down a lot of hit points, and Romero was fresh. 2 rounds later, with a rapier in his throat, Jay's first character of this evening's story goes down.
That is such a shame, but it made perfect sense for why Romero acted as he did.
It did, and I understand Jay's character choices as well. This one, I can't say bad character choice. That was actually very good role-playing on his part. The bad character choice came with his next character. Also a Dragonborn. This one, I believe, was Silver. A Paladin of Bahamut. I don't remember the name, so we're going to keep saying Jay. Because this one didn't last the entire session. So, if you've played Hoard of the Dragon Queen or Rise of Tiamat, you understand that the whole point of the story is Tiamat is trying to ascend out of the hells and take her place as a god. And I liked the idea that there were multiple people trying to get this slot for godhood. And so one of the people, I say people, one of the individuals trying to take this position was Baal, the god of murder. Now, Baal was on a bridge, talking to Tanelia. Those of you who have listened know who that is. If you don't...
Oh, Tanelia.
Go back and listen to The Rescue of Derek One Arm. Believe me, it's worth knowing. But he was speaking with Tanelia, and they were just having a casual conversation on a bridge the party needed to cross. The only person in the party who didn't know who that was Jay's character. So Jay, hearing that this is an evil doer, ponied up and decided he was going to confront this evil.
Oh, buddy.
I told him to make a yeah. I told him to make a saving throw. I felt obligated. It didn't matter what he rolled. He could have rolled nat 20 and he would have failed. That DC was so high. Because that was Baal, and they were level 7. So it wasn't going to work. Baal used telekinesis to grab him by the throat and pick him up off the ground and just left him there while he conversed with the rest of the party. Just casually talking with them while psychically holding this man's throat. The Dragonborn mouthed off a little bit more through gasping breaths. Baal kinda got pissed and threw him off the bridge, where falling damage knocked him out. He then continued to speak with the group. The one member of the group, his character Azazel, another paladin, I believe, paladin sorcerer, actually, now that I think back on it, went to leap into the water after him, but Baal used hold person on him and held him there because leaving the conversation would be rude. Which basically was me as the DM making it go to death saves, because that's what the god of murder is all about. Jay rolled his death saves, and he didn't make it. He drowned, according to the dice, and they were able to fish him out of the river later, and Azazel was upset. Frederick, not so much, but again, that's Frederick.
That checks out for Frederick.
It does check out for me. I'm not evil. Yes, you are. Okay, I'm corporate evil. That's what Matt loves to say about Frederick. But, that brought about Jay's last actual character. This character, I think he was just doing to mess with me. Because he played a monk named Monkey. Not a very original name, and I'll be honest, I was a little uncomfortable saying it at the table.
Why?
Figure out why. Not saying that one on... not saying that on a recording. That's not happening. You figure out why. But Monkey actually lasted quite a few sessions. We had a lot of time with Monkey. And then Monkey's time ran out. See, they got into a massive fight with Tanelia and some other... I'm trying to remember what they were. They were these like baboon creatures. I found a lot of homebrew stuff to fill in these gaps. There were these weird, like, baboon creatures that were up in the trees, and they would drop down and beat the ever-loving crap out of people. So the party was fighting those, and Tanelia, having taken half her hit points and damage, like any good sub-boss, ran. As a monk, ran very fast. Monkey, as a monk, ran very fast after her, into the depths of the forest.
Because, chasing down the bad guy by yourself while your party's over, far away from you is a good idea.
Always. Especially when they're in the middle of combat, and I said, alright, well, we're going to resolve combat, then we'll get back to you. I'm guessing you're going to keep chasing her. And he went, yep. I'm like, alright. So we finished up the combat, and I go, and that was about 30 seconds where you guys don't know where Monkey is. Monkey! So Tanelia wasn't running away. She was luring. And this is where we had a 1v1 fight. Now, I think Monkey was at level 9 at this point. I think. Tanelia was level 14. Monkey had taken damage in the fight, so had she. But she also had magical items that allowed her to beat the ever-loving shit out of Monkey. He lost. Soundly, he lost. And Tanelia was the lover of the god of murder. So she just straight up killed him. No death saves, just beat him into the ground until he was dead. And I looked at him, I'm like, this is what she would do, and Monkey's player was just like, yeah, no, I get that. She actually was very brutal about it, too. She ended the fight by taking his wooden staff, driving it through the palms of both of his hands when they were overlapping, and pinned him to a tree with it. And left a very clear trail for his party to follow and find him. We were getting near the end at this point, so the bad guys weren't going to be cartoony.
At least they were able to find his body?
They found his body, and to be fair, Tanelia didn't take his money or anything. She didn't care to.
It was more the message that she wanted to leave than anything else.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you've listened to the one about Tanelia in the past, you know that's who she is. He brought in another character. It was a storm sorcerer, air genasi, or water genasi, something like that. But life kind of came up, and Jay kind of stopped coming to the shop that we were playing at. Nothing to do with his characters dying, but everything to do with, I believe he was starting law school. So there's a good reason to stop playing D&D.
Little bit.
Yeah. But, that was a look into one of my other players from when I was really first starting out. I'm sure I made a few mistakes in there. I'm sure you listening at home are like, wow, you were way too brutal. And sometimes I look back on it and think, maybe I was. But the theme that I was going with, Tanelia came out of a blood magic excerpt, like a supplement.
Mm-hmm.
She came out of a blood magic supplement. Which I have somewhere. I'm sure we're gonna link it in the description for the rescue of Derek One Arm, if their link is still even up. But it was a dark and creepy story, and she was a deeply disturbed individual. It's actually kind of funny going back and listening to myself tell this story again, because we used to joke about Jay's characters dying like that, and stopping and thinking about it, there was a lot of circumstance involved in it that was out of everyone's control, really.
It was all just how it all played together.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funny revisiting. Because it's very easy to say, oh yeah, that joke character that died. But no, it was, now that I think about it, there's a lot of moving pieces with that.
But moving pieces make for a good story.
That is true. And to be fair, I may have forgotten the characters' names. I haven't forgotten Jay's name, we're just not using it. But the stories just stick. They stick around.
Is there anything that you learned as being a DM from this, or?
I would say definitely take some time for reflection. Because even right now, as I'm thinking about it, part of me is going, ooh, that was too much. I really should have been easier on my players. But then another part of me is going, or you're too easy on them now. Let the stories unfold. Don't try to like cushion them because you like the character too much. If a character would die for the sake of the story, they die for the sake of the story. We get very attached. I mean, it's good to get attached to a good character, but I think don't fear death as a character or a DM. Because it can make for a better story than an illegitimate survival.
I like that.
Yeah, Jay definitely played his characters to the grave. So I think by telling this story, I think I may have just gained some more admiration for him than I had before. Should really tell him that, too. Alright, well, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Dungeon Master's Corner. I have been Brian.
I've been Nicole.
And here's your outro. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Dungeon Master's Corner. If you'd like to support us, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/reliably chaotic to help pay for the funerals. So many funerals. You could also drop us a line on Twitter at Reliably Chaotic. We'd love to hear from you.